Okay, I'm just gonna go with the black and white filter. I'm already melting under this camera heat. For a huge platform, I feel like YouTube really needs to do better with its filters. This is absolutely crazy. Anyway, I wanted to start doing lives on YouTube directly now as opposed to doing my lives on Instagram, especially my spiritual lives. So let's see how it goes. I feel like I'm starting all over again with the YouTube lives, or sorry, with the lives I did on Instagram, but on YouTube. So hopefully, you know, I see some traction with this. I know I will, of course, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I wanted to do my lives on YouTube as opposed to doing my lives on Instagram when they involve spirituality, because I feel like that platform is my business platform and I want to come here and talk about that stuff because I really feel like that is this is more appropriate, a more appropriate platform. And then it'll be easier for me to upload because it'll already be on YouTube and I won't have to hopefully do too much. But we'll see how it goes. So I had some things on my chest that I wanted to talk about. Key points in regards to gang stalking. Oh my God, just give me a second here. Key points in regards to gang stalking, things that I really feel like I have to, I should have touched in other videos because sometimes I have notes, but just depending on the amount of time that I have, I don't always have time for me to touch up on the things that I do need to touch up on. So first things first, first point I'm going to go to, boundaries. Well, I have 5 points today, but the first point I want to go over is boundaries. This is a huge one. So throughout my gang stalking journey, one thing that I found was that I had to shut every single door before the cycle would be closed. This should be logical. This makes complete sense. While you're in it, you can't think logically about something that you're in for the first time. So for my first time in this situation, obviously I'm not gonna know how learning how I got in, learning what it's about, learning what people want. So learning how to get out is like a whole new thing. So it's like you're running, you're learning on the ground running. I had to build up boundaries around myself with everything. So this is what you in turn have to really, really solidly consider. You need to build up boundaries around you, literally, essentially with everybody right now. Like there really is no one who's exempt. So as far as say family, if you have family that you talk to, you need to be very careful because gang stalkers have been known, obviously they use your family and your close network. So I had to build up a boundary with my closest friends, with my own father. My own father was trying to convince me that nothing was going on, that the people who were after me were friendly and they wanted to help me, etc., etc. Just basically meaning he had already cut a deal. This is how serious this situation is, that you have to build up boundaries with your own family members. And when I say boundaries, I mean like close the door of entry. You have to do that if you're at work, if you're on a job. You have to do that if you're at school. Wherever you are, where they have a point of access, wherever they have a point where they can gain entry into your life. So let me break down a little bit what that looked like for me, and more so kind of paint a visual picture of what it means, because this is something I had to think about. Think about if you have a garage and there is what a normal garage looks like. So from the outside, people can drive onto your driveway, your garage door goes up, there's your first garage. Then behind that door, instead of going straight into your house, there's another garage door. And there you are in that second one. So you have to go through garage number one, garage door, garage number two, and then outside. You have to think of yourself almost as retreating into the second back one and leaving people on the outside. You have to screen everybody that comes around you. I mean, it's like you stay gang stalked long enough, you learn that. You need to find out, did somebody send this person? Who are they connected to? Who are they affiliated? And obviously, when you see them affiliated with somebody else that you had to block or get rid of, then it's very clear the point of entry, where they're coming from. This sort of hypervigilance is what creates the situation where gang stalking victims are constantly paranoid, constantly nervous that people coming around them are not genuine. And that starts a cycle of self-sabotage, because sometimes you get so hyper aware that you block out everybody. The problem is that people are so dangerous to you at this point, because the more doors of access you close, the more desperate they get. It means that they cannot do their job. I should have wrote more notes on this, because I really want to outline how closing all these points of access have been extremely useful for me to literally be out of their way. They can't get contact with me. They cannot stalk me. It's very difficult for them to figure out where I'm going, when I'm coming back, etc., etc. And I'm going to explain some key points. And this is why I had to do this live on YouTube, because I really want to leave this on here so that people can really hopefully take notes and kind of figure out like exactly how you can close these doors, how you can block this access. And you know, for me, it took almost 2 years to learn this. I've been gang stalked actively for a year and a half, and the last couple months have just been spent almost by accident closing some of these doors. The first thing that I want to talk about, if you want to consider your outside garage door kind of as like outside of a country, let's say the inside garage door where you're going to be, or the inside of the house, let's call it not two garages, let's just call it the inside of the house and the garage. When you're inside of this house, obviously, let's say there's a peephole at your back door, the door leading to the garage. You can see people coming in. You can decide if you're going to open that door or not. But consider inside of the house like inside of a country. Consider the garage outside of the borders of your country. Nobody wants to fight a war inside of their country. Fighting a war on your home turf, on your homeland, you're looking at loss of infrastructure, you're looking at buildings being bombed down, hospitals being bombed down, you're looking at schools going down, you're looking at roads being blocked, being blown up, you're looking at, you know, services going out of use, etc., etc. Nobody wants to fight war in their country. And usually it's the poorer country has the war fought on their land. It is the same spiritually. God cannot fully defend you when people are in your life. Yes, you have protection from God, especially when you pray. Yes, all of these things are true, but if you're giving them access constantly to be inside of your space, God cannot start moving things in the proper direction, because these people are going to know what's going on with you 24/7. God cannot start, you know, building things for you, taking you away, because every ounce of your plans, of your intentions are constantly known to others. So you really need to get these people away from you in order for their karma to start. Karma cannot start while you're still in the relationship with the partner who is abusing you. It cannot start while you're still at the school where you know you shouldn't be. It can't start while you're still in a situation where the injustice is happening. The injustice needs to happen and it needs to close. It needs to stop. You need to be away from it. And then you can, it's like going and reporting someone to the police and then saying, oh no, we're still together, like I still sleep with this person every night, like, you know, it's difficult to do things that way, and they don't take it as seriously as someone who's completely divorced or who's moved out, who's moved away, and they know, okay, we go arrest this person, you're probably going to be a witness, you're going to show up to court, you're not going to get back to that with them, etc., etc. This is how it works. This is how it works in reality, and this is how it works spiritually. You need to get completely away from these people. This was the most important thing for me to do. Even spiritually, and I'm going to touch on this. Because I have a crystal that I want to talk about after this that's going to make it very evident what I'm talking about. This is not something I'm making up. This is something that is known. When you're in any type of situation where you have a high control group, it could be a cult, it could be gang stalkers, it could be like a tightly controlled church, it could be something like I talk about all the time, like the cartel, any whatever it is, and it's a tightly controlled situation. They gain their control by having access to you, knowing what you're doing all the time to either destroy it, shoot it down, point you in a different direction, etc., etc. That is how it works. They're not there to help you, to build up your life, to do anything positive for you. So you have to kind of look at, so here's some things that happened with me. First things first, I used to be followed everywhere no matter what. And it was frustrating, and I was waiting for the cycle to close down. I was waiting for change to come to me. The problem was I had a routine which, gave me a schedule, and I really couldn't get out of the routine at the time until I decided to close my store. So that means every day at a certain hour, I don't have to worry about, people don't know that every day I'm going to work at 9, 10 o'clock. People don't know I'm coming back at this time. People don't know this is when I'm doing my groceries, etc., etc. So that all had to happen. That was number one. After I got rid of my routine, so that's the first thing you want to know. If you have a routine, it's going to be more difficult for you to get out of the situation because they have a schedule for you. Number two, on top of getting rid of your routine, or at least people not knowing what your routine is, so your routine is varied, so they don't know when you're going to be outside or how to catch you or where you're going or what your issues are or what you're resolving. That's number one. Number two, they're tracking you through the cell phone, and I've said this before and I've said this over and over. They are tracking you through your cell phone. So this is how I found out that I was being tracked through my cell phone. One day I was watching YouTube videos as I was moving, and I was driving quite a bit. It was close to the end of the month, and I depleted all my data. So then I found myself driving for the last 3 days of the month with no data. I was completely unfollowed for 3 days. I couldn't believe it. 3 days. So imagine going from being gang stalked, and because I was moving again, I didn't have a routine. They couldn't tell which house I was sleeping at, like what was happening. I literally had 3 days, and this is anybody who's being gang stalked, this is your dream. Trust me. 3 days where I could go to the supermarket, I could go out in public. It was like the world was restored again. Everything was new again. It was crazy. That's why I preach all the time to turn the cell phone off. It's not enough to turn the data off. Now, my cell phone was on, but my data was off because I had ran out of data for the 3 days. They started getting wise. So what they would do is they would either send me a text from a fake number or a call from a fake number, and then slowly but surely you'd see them start showing up in the area. They also started listening more on my laptop and kind of using my laptop as an indicator for when I was leaving the house. So if I was on the laptop and then I slammed the laptop shut and I left the house, then they started getting my neighbors to watch me. So then my neighbors would pop out and would just pop to see anytime I would leave, and they would be rushing out in a winter coat, slippers, and shorts to throw out garbage all of a sudden every single time that I was leaving. So people were watching me. So then I had to figure, okay, I'm not going to close the laptop. I'm going to keep the laptop running. I'm just going to run outside. I'm going to do what I have to do. It's a very funny way of living. It's a way that will upset you because nobody honestly should have to live like that. Like, you shouldn't have to be outside using cash, having your cell phone off, not having a schedule, etc., to evade abuse. But to be honest, going through the abuse versus making these small changes, to me, I'm going to make the small changes every day. I think most people would. The other thing that happened, so when they started sending calls, fake calls and fake texts to my cell phone instead of actually, because the data was off and they couldn't actively track me, I don't know what apps they use, but for example, right now on my phone, I ask all the apps not to track, obviously. So if you haven't done that, you should go in your settings and obviously do that. And I really only use my phones at home. When I get out there in public, I just try not to use my own phones. The other thing that I started noticing was I would just turn the phone off completely. If you have an iPhone, and especially if you're in the States, because to be honest, I really feel like the gang stalkers in the States are way worse than what we have in Canada. I really, really do. I see the kind of aggressive action they take. I feel like gang stalking in the States doesn't care about boundaries even more than in Canada. So like I've seen them delete people's accounts and do all kinds of things, and it's like I don't even know. It's really bad. It's like they really feel like they are completely above the law. My experience was not that bad. Like it was horrific, but I know that people in the States, I really always give it up that I feel like you guys are going through worse situations than we are over here. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. I just stopped walking with the phone completely. I was like, I used to walk with, I tried turning off my phone months prior when I was going to try to get my phone, try to get forensics done on my phone, and I turned my phone off. And they found a way to turn the phone back on. I looked in my pocket and my phone was back on. That's what made me just not trust the phone. So sometimes I just leave the phone, I just leave it at home and I walk without it. I'm very impromptu with how I'm leaving and how I'm going out. They like to worry about things like, you know, say for example, if I leave my laptop running for a bit and I'm in the shower and I come back out, I'm getting dressed and I'm listening to videos while I'm getting dressed because obviously I don't want to close the laptop at that point and give anybody any indications. So I close down the laptop, I'm getting dressed, or I leave the laptop open, I'm getting dressed. To me, it just gives people time to get ready to just put themselves in position. I've stopped doing that. If I have something to do, I will get up anytime, any place, anytime at all, and just get up and go. And this is what's worked best for me. It's extremely unpredictable. The other thing is I'm at the point with my schedule where I may not leave home for a couple of days. I may leave home a couple of days in a row. Every time I go out, I may be going multiple places. So sometimes they have success following me to the first place. And remember, they're following you without a GPS. So they successfully follow you to the first place. The more you use highways, the more difficult it is to follow you to the second place and the third place and the fourth place, especially when you stop being loyal to any location. I am not loyal to any sort of business whatsoever. I do not go anywhere twice. If I do, it might be months apart, it might be weeks apart. It's extremely unpredictable, and unpredictability is your best friend in this situation. So I don't go to the same supermarket all the time. I don't do, the same things all the time. I'm using cash. If I do use my card, it's at somewhere that I don't think it's significant enough for them to know. So if I go to a gas station or something like there's nothing they can do at a gas station but like maybe just stand there, maybe just be there. Like it's places that are insignificant. In a supermarket, someone could pick up a cart and just follow you around in the supermarket and make you feel uncomfortable. But in a gas station, what can people do? You're pumping gas. And a lot of the times, depending on the gas station, I let the gas go and I sit back in my car or I clean my window shield and I'm out of there. Anytime you need to create some separation, you just drive for a bit, you just get to your next location, you're creating distance. It becomes very difficult. Now, what that does is that forces someone who has a job to do to put a GPS on your car. I would stress to you that if you are in a situation where you're walking around with no phone and you still feel like after a while they're onto you, you have to go down the checklist of saying, am I going to the same places all the time? Do they know that every Saturday around between 2 to 4 I go grocery shopping? Let me tell you something. They figured I was going to go grocery shopping one day and they waited for me at the supermarket. The problem was I didn't go to the supermarket that they thought I would. Last minute, by the end of the evening, I decided, you know what, I will pop into that supermarket because they have something I want. And that's where they were waiting. Somebody was waiting at the fruit aisle. That person kept walking through, kind of following me around nervously. Then there was another person. There was a person kind of waiting at the door, just watching for me to leave, etc., etc. So it's like they had people camping out there for hours waiting for me. So you have to go down the checklist. First things first, you're looking at leaving the phone home for a bit because you don't want to be taking the phone and then you turned off the data, but then now you're texting and calling people all over the place and someone's mirrored your device. I don't know if you know what that means. Mirroring the device means that they see absolutely everything that you're doing on the phone. They see type words, passwords that are being typed on the phone. They see who you're calling, who's texting you. They're listening into calls. That's why I recommend getting a puck code for your SIM card. It's a code that you call into the company. You say, I want a PUK code. It's called a puck code, PUK code for my SIM card. They will give you the PUK code, which is a lock. Then you go into the settings of your phone and you enter the puck code that they've given you, and then you change it. You restart your phone. Once you start your phone, so they'll be able to manually turn your phone back on. But when it comes to the puck code password, they won't be able to put it in, even if they know what the puck code password is. From being off, they cannot turn the phone on because the phone hasn't yet connected to the internet. And if I mirror your phone, it has to be connected to the internet for me to see what's going on it. If it's not connected to the internet, then I can't see everything. Like, it's not feeding the information back. So let me tell you, I have two phones. I have one phone that I use for making calls, one phone I use for everything else. Anything that uses a SIM card, they can send just a text message that you do not need to answer and you do not even need to open, and they're back in your device. As simple as that. So these are the things that you really have to think about. On most of my videos, I have something called the Gang Stalking Survival Guide. Go through my videos, look at the titles, and it's going to give you indication what videos are going to give you like step-by-step breakdown of what to do. There's a very systematic way of making sure that your cell phone is closed for yourself. Your information becomes as private as possible. So any phone that you're using, emails, and I also tell you what email account to use that has multiple passwords, that's harder to hack, etc., etc. You know, you put yourself in a situation, nothing is 100% foolproof, but it makes their job dramatically difficult. It's like a password that's 4 characters long versus 44 characters long. Is it a pain in the ass for even you to type? You have to sit there with a notebook or something and type it out? Yes. But is it worth it? Yes, because when you put all the different characters and you make it difficult, it's really hard to hack that. I was watching a video one time of how long it takes to hack a password based on characters. A password that has like 5 characters is easy, it's easier. But there's past a certain number of characters, I think it's either 18 or 20 characters, that will take years to hack because it literally needs to go through every single character as a variation, as like a full phrase, let's say. And it needs to do that for every single character to find it. So after my passwords are long as hell. They have so many characters. It's like, it's insane. It's not just letters, uppercase, lowercase, whatever. It's very varied. And it's random crap. I don't even know any of my passwords off the top of my head. That's how it needs to be. You're creating hurdles for people. So they're just gonna have to set up password hackers for different accounts for you until it freezes the account and the account notifies you that someone's hacking it, or there was a login that didn't work out, or whatever the case is. Okay? This is what you're going to have to continue doing over and over, and creating and making it extremely difficult for people to access you, because once you're being gang stalked, this is how they know everything. They have all the devices hacked, your security cameras, your phones, your laptops, your tablets, anything that can connect to the internet. Siri and Google are notorious for collecting a lot of information. These people have all your search lists, all your passwords, your traditional passwords, which is like the same password varied, different variations for different sites. They're going to have that. They're going to know what it is. This is going to be extremely easy to hack you. They're going to have your contact list, and that's how they get into your network. That's how they keep finding people to come towards you. And when that happens long enough, that's where you get to the point that I'm saying, where you kind of have to close the door on everybody for a bit, be in isolation for a bit until you get this thing under control, because it is going to be bad before it gets good. So there's all of that. Beyond closing the door on everyone, beyond not having a schedule, Beyond not using your cell phone and your laptops, I mean, first of all, whatever you cannot control being hacked, like with me, there's emails, I'm like, it is what it is. You know, I have emails that are secure for me, and then I have stuff where I'm just like, whatever. If they want to go through it, it's not life or death. I'm not using it for anything important. It is what it is. Some things they're gonna see, it is what it is. You can only control what you can control. So you have to be very careful with what you can, and then you have to release the things that you cannot control. And that's a big part of it, is emotionally releasing the things that you cannot control, because you can't control everything, but you can put hurdles in their path that frustrate them and that make it very difficult to do their job. So when I leave the house, first of all, it's very random. Secondly, I probably sometimes I bulk errands together. Sometimes it's just random for me where I'll have one or two things to do and I'll remember other things. I'm like, oh shoot, I might as well do this now. I'm between towns, so I'm never in my local region. These people are so duplicitous. Let me tell you what happened. When I moved, the people that I met in the beginning of this gang stalking journey that were working at my local mall when I first moved has started working over here. I make it my business to never go there, so I don't give a shit. They just wasted their time. I go everywhere. I'm all over the place now, and I don't mind it, to be honest with you. When you're gang stalked, you really do not mind taking a longer drive somewhere because the drive is peaceful. You don't have people in traffic, like 5, 6 cars trying to box you in, stop you from exiting the highway, stop you from racing forward. You don't have all of that because they cannot track you in real time. It's not like they can look at a map and say, you're right here and she's right there and she stopped there and go look here. Like, you can't do that anymore. So you pretty much have freedom. Every time I hop on a highway, I know I have freedom. Every time I go from one town to the other, they have no idea where I'm going. And I know one time where I go somewhere, the first time I go, the place is completely free and clear. I'm there for 45 minutes. I'm having a good time. I'm talking to people and being my normal self and enjoying life as I used to enjoy it before all of this happened. I know that if I create a routine of going to this place a second time, it is going to change. The experience is going to change. So it's almost like toggling between two worlds. The world where you're being gang stalked and the world where you finally have your freedom. And this is what I mean by you have to force it to close out. I'm not saying that they've stopped. They're trying, they're scrambling, they're looking for some way to get back in. Because what happens is, the longer the period of time that they cannot actively gang stalk you and keep you trapped every single day, the longer that happens or doesn't happen is the more you heal. If you think you feel sane right now, go 4 months without this occurring in your life. You will see how much pressure that you are existing in as a norm right now. And I used to feel like I had the situation under control, and I honestly really did have this situation fairly under control. But I closed my cycle of being actively able to be followed from last year, October. So we have, yeah, I would say October, but let's call it November to call it like a clean full month. So November, December, January, February, we have 4 full months. I have such peace. I am so relaxed. I remember what it's like to be in the real world once more. This is what I want for everybody. Honestly, you can do it. You can do it. You have to create hurdles for them and you have to close the door. This is why my garage analogy is important. It is essential. You must build boundaries between you and other people. I do not answer direct messages on any platform whatsoever. I am uninterested, and that includes, well, we don't have direct messages on YouTube, but if I am standoffish on YouTube and I don't answer people and I don't take phone numbers, it is for my protection. There's nothing that anybody needs to me that anybody needs to talk to me about. My phone is so dry, that thing does not ring unless it's business. I don't initiate business with people until I've thoroughly vetted them first. I want to research them. I want to know who's around them. I want to know who they're connected to. And I do all of this first before I work with people. No opportunity is sexy enough for me to take it or to work with someone business wise. I don't care how many followers they have. I don't care. You're talking about people with resources. They will invest the time and the effort. It doesn't matter. So I believe celebrities that say they turn down 20 million, 50 million, 10 million to not work with people because they've seen things. Because I think Hollywood is the worst level of gang stalking, worst known to man. Maybe political gang stalking is worse. But I have heard, I've listened, and we can all go on YouTube and we can listen to celebrities talk about how bad it is. They are gang stalked as a norm. What we are going through is normal for celebrities and for public figures. These people have multiple cell phones. These people are not even using their own cell phones. They use their assistants' cell phones and other people's cell phones. They have so many email accounts and throwaway emails and all this kind of technology in place because they have to deal with the things that we have to deal with. As a matter of fact, you hear celebrities say that their private jets are being tracked, the itineraries on their private jets. And if you thought it was bad that nobody cared when you make a report that you're being stalked, I remember Taylor Swift and Elon Musk were talking about that, and everybody in the comment section was unsympathetic. Nobody cared. And if you can only imagine if you're rich and if people are going to extort you and use guns and everything else, and literally nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're being tracked. They're like, oh, you have money, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, for those of us who are not millionaires and billionaires and whatever, it does suck because we don't have the resources to insulate ourselves. We're not living on estates with huge gates where you need like, security clearance to get through and this, that, and the third. And at least we're not home all the time if the house is broken into, etc. Celebrities have people going in and out of their homes all the time. Rich people have people going in and out of their homes all the time, the same way they're doing to you, because they just contact the security company that built the gate. They contact the security company or the locksmiths that deal with the locks. Like, they have all of access to all of this. This is the reason you really have to be careful. Another thing that I spoke to somebody about on here was people are coming in and out of your home, whether or not you recognize it yet. They're not just coming and moving things around. They're taking items out of your home as well. You need to put a bolt on your door. This was something I did early on because it just struck me that I wasn't safe and I wanted to feel safe. It was a new home and I knew that the builder still had the master keys to my home. Get a bolt on your door. You will sleep a billion times better at night knowing that you're probably not going to get up to go use the washroom and someone's going to be standing over your bed. These people get unhinged and they get crazy and it becomes very difficult to prove these things. And trying to prove these things to people, it makes you sound crazy. I don't know if anybody who's been gang stalked ever stopped mid explaining yourself and your voice trailed off because everything you were saying sounded so crazy that you almost didn't want to finish what you're saying because you're like, no one's going to believe me. Even I find this to be insane. That's right where they want you. They want the microaggression to be so small that it sounds stupid, but it's such a repeated behavior over and over that if you took a video of it and you say, look at this, I'm outside and there's sirens today. And there's sirens literally outside every single day at 3 p.m. or every single day around a certain time. It drives you crazy because you notice the pattern of it. It's called street theater. You notice the pattern of it. But everybody else will be like, did the fire truck just literally leave the station just to annoy you? That's what people are going to say. And people are not going to believe you. But the truth is, it is actually happening. So it's really, really, really important. This is another thing that I did for myself. And I don't want anyone to, please, with this piece of advice, take it if it works for you. And if it doesn't work for you and you don't feel safe not taking it, then don't take it. I stopped recording videos of the people who were following me because they were playing dumb. They were playing like, oh, I'm just a regular person on the street and you're crazy. Why are you filming me? I stopped, if there's street theater, if there's weird stuff happening, I left it alone. If I had to do that for a year and a half and continue uploading, 1 to 8 minute videos trying to explain myself, I would just look like I'm losing my mind. And then I would be spending so much energy on trying to prove that it's happening that I wasn't spending the energy on taking myself out. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people continue to make, is that they're not trying to take themselves out as much as they're trying to prove it's happening. The police you reported it to, they know 100% it's happening. Don't you dare think that in your town or in your city, you are the first person to ever report being gang stalked. You are not even close to the first person. People have been reporting this stuff from 20, 30 years back. They know it exists. They know you're not lying. Don't bother proving it. They probably don't want to get involved because they don't want it happening to them and their family as police officers, because they've seen it before. They probably have people on the force who it has happened to. Or somebody on the force is, sorry, I don't understand that comment. You never just started gang stalking someone else. I have no idea what that means. I've never gang stalked anyone, so I don't know. Maybe you can explain what you mean by it. But yeah, people know it's happening. I personally didn't waste my time on trying to prove that it was happening. I just kept going. I just kept trying to figure out, how do I make this stop? How do I get out of it? Because after a certain amount of time, I was like, oh, hell no. We're done with this. We're done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. I refused. I made the decision. So the first point that I really want to drive home, please create barriers and boundaries between yourself and anything that disturbs your peace, because that's really what these people want to do at the end of the day, is they want to disturb your peace on a consistent basis. So please put barriers between yourself and between other people. Strong barriers, borders. They cannot access you. Right now, because I've decided to go into isolation, it doesn't matter who I don't need to screen who I want to talk to, who I don't want to talk to as much, because it's like I don't want to talk to anyone. I still have to conduct business, so I screen in that way, but I put myself in a situation where I don't even have to deal with customers. I never have to talk to customers. We can do whatever we need to do and fulfill our business without actually making contact with people, and it is amazing. And this is where you want to get yourself to. This is the point that you want to get yourself to. You do not want to be constantly in frustrating situations with other people. They want to create the narrative before the huge action that they want to happen, before you are triggered so badly that you lash out on people, that you get arrested. Like someone in my old city went on a serial killing spree in his condo. He started shooting at people, and I think he took 5 people out, and the police took him out. So it was 5 total deaths. So I think he took 4 people out, and then he was the 5th one, or the last one. He had been making YouTube videos. He had been complaining. He had made reports to the police, all of the above. And what they did with his frustrated action was they covered it up. Now his daughters, his own children, are saying that he was abusive and he was this and he was that. And I don't believe it necessarily. I just don't believe it. And that's a gut reaction that I don't believe it. A person who is so frustrated and so difficult to deal with isn't the one going to the police. If I'm an antagonizer, I'm not going to the police warning about other people. I'm the one people have to go to the police to warn about. The neighbors and everybody pretended like they were so helpful, etc., etc. So I realized that dealing with this gracefully and making sure that you do not lash out at people, and making sure that people are not able to say, if you, God forbid, committed suicide, people are not able to say, oh my God, this was such a horrible person, they were crazy, they lost their mind, etc. You do not want that to stick to you. So you do have to be careful with the way that you respond to being antagonized and being bullied and being pushed around. I am not answering that ridiculous question. Anyway, so number 2, challenges are boot camps. Challenges are boot camps. It's like a situation where it's like being in a class where you have to learn every single lesson that needs to be learned, and you have to pass every single challenge in your way before you can graduate and end the course. So it's like a cycle. You need to, in order to complete this cycle, you literally need to face every challenge and successfully complete every hurdle that's in your way, and then you get to be free of it. And that has been literal for me. Now, again, I talk about everything. There's a spiritual component and there's a real component. So it just makes sense spiritually that you cannot move on from something until you've learned the lessons, because all the lessons that you've learned inside of this challenge are what you're going to need on your new chapter. So whatever it is that your future holds, you're going to need to learn how to screen people. You're going to need to learn how to create boundaries around yourself and protect your information. You're going to need to know how to make sure that people don't track you around. You're going to need to learn all of this stuff, and you don't know what's going on, but you need to successfully complete this anyway. So here are some of the challenges that I had to go through. Anxiety. There is so much, I have gone through so much anxiety in this situation that I'm immune to anxiety, literally. I literally can feel anxiety while having a great time, a great day, just in general. When I first got an anxiety attack, it wasn't during gang stalking, it was years before. It was random, it was for no reason. And the thing is, anxiety, it can show up even if nothing related to it is happening. So there is no logical reason for you to have this anxiety. So, now I'm at a point with it where, or sorry, I was talking about years ago. Years ago, I had an anxiety attack and it came out of nowhere. And I mean, it really put me down. I was at lunch with family and I had to hold my chest and I had to wait for it to for me to get through it. I couldn't believe what was happening. Nothing happened. It wasn't triggered by anything. This was the first time I had a random anxiety attack. And, for me, I personally believe that this kind of stuff is energy work, it's spell work, but, that's a personal belief and I don't expect everybody to believe that. However, I am now at a point with anxiety where I can get anxiety at any time and my body doesn't have a panic reaction to it. And I don't have to feel as if I need to change course of what I'm doing under the pressure of having an anxiety attack. I no longer need to worry about drifting off from the work that I'm doing, or I feel like I want to curl up in a ball, or I can't go to work, or I don't feel functional, etc. I had to graduate anxiety attacks because that was a huge tool that they were using all the time. I would get anxiety attacks during meditation, after meditation, during my work day. Even if I was making money and things were great and I had a great day, it's like, boom, somebody would send me an anxiety attack. Or I'm just online and I'm looking at memes all day and I'm laughing and I'm having some time with myself, boom, an anxiety attack. And the anxiety attacks can be so bad that you need time. You start shaking, you can't eat, you lose your appetite, etc. If you're going through prolonged periods of that, you're going to start losing weight. You're not going to look like yourself. You're not going to be eating well. All kinds of things are going to happen. You're going to look a mess. You're not going to be sleeping well, all kinds. So you need to graduate the anxiety attack before you get to leave. Distractions. Distractions are a huge tool of control. If somebody wants to control how you progress in life, they send you distractions. I consider the person commenting in the live right now a distraction. Asking somebody who's been a victim of something so horrible if they would gang stalk someone else, you are not even masking that you're not a true TI. You're just, it's like a troll, you know what I mean? These kind of things are distractions. I had to learn to get over stuff like that, to not get emotionally involved, to not freak out, to not lose my cool. But in the beginning, when I started going live, absolutely, I would lose my cool for stuff like that because I hadn't yet mastered it. So these are things that I had to learn. The distractions used to work a lot on me when, say, for example, I used to have to go and set up a new store. I own a business where I have stores, by the way. And I had to set up a new store and they would distract me and I would be on, sorry, I'm getting My nose is ready. Give me a minute. Yeah, I would get distracted. Um, and it was like if I had a new marketing campaign to do, I'd get distracted. If I was working on fixing our website, getting new models, whatever it was, I would get distracted. The project would never get done. And I literally had a whole ton of projects on the floor, expertly started, nothing executed. Absolutely nothing was executed. And you need to get over being distracted, because the way you're leaving this is not because they're stopping or because they want to stop. You're leaving this because you're forcing it. And that's why you have to close the doors behind you, so that you seal the problem behind you. It's like being in a zombie movie. You can't just have open access. Like, you can't leave a door open, a window open, nothing. You need to seal all exits, and you need to have, there may be chaos going on outside and you know that, but as long as it cannot get into your situation, you can at least have peace, calm, and you can be able to plan with time of being calm, of being free of it. You can plan how to rebuild. So you need to get the hell out of that situation, and I mean ASAP. Um excuse me, fear. Sorry, I have sage burning here and there's a lot of smoke. So fear. You need to get over fear immediately. It is the first lesson that I had to go through. It's tough. You're going to, it's a toughie. When you first do not know, first of all, you're really lucky if you get on YouTube early. I did not get on YouTube early at all. It took me a while to get onto YouTube. And I realized all the resources that would have been at my disposal. I had to figure this out alone. But in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't come on YouTube too quickly, and I kind of figured it out on my own before I got on YouTube. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think a lot of TIs are going through this in the wrong way, wasting efforts on the wrong things, having narratives that may or may not be true, but just saying it out loud makes it more difficult to be taken seriously. There absolutely are good police out there. They're dirty cops and they're good cops. It's not just a whole precinct is dirty people. So if you happen to be so lucky that you get a good cop, you want to sit down and logically explain this. You got to motivate this person to take your case seriously. You got to come in with good documentation. You got to come in with names of people he can talk to, people who saw something that was weird, people who can at least, if they can't corroborate your story, they can cast some more doubt along with you. They can say, it was so weird. She came in and these people came after her and they did this, but I don't know what it is. Because if they can get 3 or 4 or 5 people to corroborate your story, they can, so you can maybe get an investigation going. So you have to be careful. You do not want to go to a station and tell people that you're on a government watch list and the government are targeting you and they're using energy weapons against you. Please, even if it's what you believe, you cannot go into the police station. I personally believe it's witchcraft. I am not going to go into the police station and talk about the energy work, because even if the energy's work is happening, the police cannot even do anything about it. It's not a chargeable item. So you have to look at, you're reporting things that are against the law. The energy work thing is too blurry even if it's happening. So don't focus on things like that. I have another video, it's called, and it's pinned in all my videos, it's called the Gang Stalking Survival Guide, when I give tips on how to get over the energy stuff. Okay, the energy stuff makes it very difficult. It's happening to all of us, of course. Whether or not it's government, weapons or not, you just have to get through it. You can't, this one is one that it's not fixable. See, I'm a business owner, so I'm already in the mindset of how do I categorize issues and problems. You have issues that are urgent, issues that are important, issues that are both urgent and important. And then this one would fall under, it's important, but there's no solution. There's no possible solution. Like, do you have a magic wand? What can you do? If you don't know what you can do, then you know what can, you're kind of stuck. You're stuck with the situation, right? um Look at that. This is such a distraction because the page with my YouTube video just shut down. So anyway, we're going to keep going. This is what I mean by being sure at all times that you can handle distractions being thrown your way, because there are going to be tons of distractions all the time and you don't get emotionally involved. Don't have emotional fallouts every time a distraction happens to you. It's going to happen in real life and it's going to happen like in general. So just keep going with whatever you know, whatever's happening for you. So these are challenges that you're going to have to go through every single challenge that is sent your way constantly. Okay, you have to graduate your challenges and you have to learn from it. Getting your anger under control is another thing that you got to be able to do. Being able to listen, you become so dangerous when you are silent, when you have no fear, when you cannot be distracted, when you cannot be triggered easily, and when you continue to close doors of access and put hurdles in people's way to get at you. They don't know what to do with you. They have to plan a little bit better with you. They don't get to come at you with chaotic energy and just throw things your way willy-nilly. They have to be very careful of how they deal with you. And that is where people are with me. They have to be very careful of what they do when it comes to me. So these are things that you definitely want to look into. So this is number 2. I'm going to jump ahead to number 4 because it has to do with number 2. The energy weapons that people talk about, the government tech devices or whatever. And I've thought about this because I definitely do think that there are obviously people who have been involved in military, or in the police or in the government that are involved in what's going on. Obviously, there are people who do all of this, right? So for me, I definitely feel like maybe there's a possibility that that is existing, that there are people who, you know, maybe they're tech weapons that we don't understand and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, at the same time, I just genuinely, I don't understand how it would work with that. So I want to kind of challenge people to kind of think of it this way. When it comes to the energy weapons, if they do have energy weapons that they're using, you have to ask yourself, how are they extrapolating this information to use it in real time to follow you? So say, for example, like, is this an energy weapon where it's like they're downloading your thoughts into like a computer? Or are they downloading your thoughts into images and it's printing out? Or are they downloading your thoughts and your feelings and your intentions and everything and it's printing out on a printer or a fax machine? This is what makes the energy weapons thing to me a little bit more like, I'm not sure how it works. Because it's one thing if you're just feeling pressure and pain and discomfort on your body. That's one thing that could definitely be a thing. But to read the thoughts in active time, actively enough to be followed around in real time, to exchange from or to substitute GPS, I think that's a little more difficult. Now, if you're following everything that I said and you're doing absolutely everything in your power and you're still being followed, consider that you might have a GPS on your car. I do think that there are times that they've put GPSs on my car and every time I get wise to it, they take it off. Because a GPS is something that's pretty easy to put on someone's car and take off, right? So, but here's the thing about the GPS, the car GPS thing, and why this is not the end of the world. If you have a GPS on your vehicle and you take that GPS into the police station, there can be no more questions as to whether or not you're being followed. And that's the dangerous part. And this is why I don't mind the GPS and I wait very patiently, because one day someone's going to slip up. It's the law of averages. It is the law of averages. They slip up on everything else. That's why we notice what's going on, because these are not sophisticated people doing this. Like, it's not like the actual military themselves carrying this out where it's like this coordinated thing. Like, nobody's wasting that type of resources on you. It's not like you're holding, you know, the new codes, you know, to like nuclear codes to something. You know, you're a person that they want to bully and they want to make homeless and out of their mind and suicidal and whatnot and bankrupt. That's their target with you. It's not that they need to extract anything from you. But if you get a GPS on your car, count yourself one of the lucky ones, because it's going to be very difficult not to take you seriously. They're going to have to look into it. And in my case, it would be a jackpot. I would have the GPS, the name of the person who's done it, and a whole whack of name of people, a whole bunch of names, a whole bunch of situations, job titles, all kinds of things, like first, last names, copies of IDs. Like, my reports are thorough. But that is because I am a person who came from a corporate environment and I've been documenting very consistently for a long, 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 long time from the beginning. So, and I also know the point of entry. I know where it started. I know who it started with. Sometimes you have to create your luck. So if you haven't been documenting yet, you need to start doing that immediately. Are people happy with me putting this information out there? Are you sick? They're so pissed. People in other countries are pissed. People in other countries are deleting profiles of people who follow me. That's how important this information is. People are saying in my comments, no one's ever broken free. I don't believe you. Try it. Try everything I'm saying. I've taken everything away from them. I want them to have nothing. I'm extremely selfish about making sure there's not one window left open if there's anything I can do. And I close the ones that are easiest first, and I continue closing more and more and more and more until I get to a point where it's impossible to get close to me. It's like trying to get close to a celebrity. Do you notice how difficult they make it to get in contact with them? They don't even want to answer their own emails. You want to get it to that point. Number 3, pressure points. And pressure points in regards to the people gang stalking you. Everybody has pressure points. They've learned your pressure points and you need to learn theirs. This takes trial and error. A lot of stuff is going to take trial and error to your own personal situation, because it depends on what their motivation is. I was being gang stalked to be a drug mule. This is what they were forcing me into. So because they were forcing me to be a drug mule, they were trying to knock my business and my networks and everything out of my hands, so that I was forced to crawl back and say, okay, I'm going to do it now because I have no choice. I need to survive. And so a lot of the things that I had to protect was my income, my business, my properties, etc., etc. And this is what you want to do as well. So you have to cater every piece of advice that you're getting. You need to kind of look at how it can help you in your particular situation. Pressure points for them that I have noticed that are universal. I'm going to talk briefly about each one. Number 1, the most obvious, is you talking exposure. Nobody wants to be exposed, especially when you're exposing specific people. So in my particular situation, I'm exposing specific people doing specific things to me. You have to remember, a gang stalker who gang stalks you at a hotel works at the hotel. It's their job on the line. A police officer gang stalking you, it's not just his job, but it's his reputation on the line. You know, a paramedical, let's say the paramedics, if they have something to do with something, you know what kind of scandal it would be for paramedics to get implicated in gang stalking? These people are terrified of this coming out. When these people agree to this, I'm pretty sure that they have to be in a situation where they're like, are you sure I'm not going to get found out? And they have to be reassured. The minute that they notice you're taking a picture or a video of them, you can see that they panic. And I used to do it in the beginning. Believe me, I did. It's just that I couldn't get them on video doing anything compromising enough that it didn't make sense for me, and it was taking away too much energy. If you're in a situation where you want to collect videos and pictures of people and whatnot and put it together in a file, by all means, That is why I said that particular piece of advice, please adjust it to your particular situation, whether you're going to document it or not. But for me, I had the name of the individual. He has a long rap sheet, etc., etc., and I'm pretty sure he's been convicted, not convicted, but accused of stalking before in the past. So for me, I was going to take my chances. And besides, some of these people, it's like I had their ID, I had so much information, their address, where they work, so much that I didn't feel like I really needed it. But you talking and exposing people, massive. One of the biggest tools and pressure points that you're going to have is you exposing specific people. If you go to a location where you feel like you're being gang stalked at this location, say for example me at the gym, and I feel like I'm being gang stalked at the gym, and I've spoken to management and they take my safety for a joke, yeah, I'm gonna expose you as a gang stalking location and a place that doesn't take the safety of their customers seriously. I'm gonna expose your business. It will happen. So these are the kind of things that you can expose. If you feel like you've made a complaint to a police officer and something hasn't happened, you can go ahead and complain on that police officer. Exposure is very important, because when you're talking about something and now you have a documented police report with a police number and the police who worked on the case and this, that, and the third, you are strengthening your case. You're creating a paper trail. If you were to disappear, if you were to die tomorrow, I'm going to say for myself, if something were to happen to myself or my children, we have a long paper trail. The chief person gang stalking me, John Ferreira, would be the first person. There would be a manhunt for him, because I have been complaining about this for a long time. You know, a lot of the times the police don't do anything until there's an actual crime that they can convict somebody of. It's contributed to my safety that I've continued to make police reports, whether or not that they were responding to it in the way that I wanted them to respond to it. Take this into consideration, that your safety is very important, because if you do not touch their pressure points, if you do not become dangerous to them, they're going to take advantage and they're going to think you're a sitting duck, and they're going to continue to abuse you, and the abuse is going to get worse and worse until they get their desired result. So there's that. You succeeding in life is a massive problem. People have been paid, or a smaller group of people, maybe 2 or 3 people, have come together and they've been paid to gang stalk you. And they've been given a blueprint on how to do it. And they've gone out with a particular budget, and they're convincing people in your neighborhood, in your town, around you, in your local networks, to abuse you. And you succeed regardless of that. Those people might need to pay that money back that they were paid to gang stalk you, because it hasn't worked. This, along with exposure, again, is huge. If you are being gang stalked, while I was being gang stalked, I was working and I was making more money, because they isolated me from people. They isolated me from distractions. They isolated me so badly that all I could do was work. So I was churning out. It was like, this is all I was doing, was just working, making money, putting it away, trying to safeguard my money, etc., etc., and improving my business, opening up a new location. So you really have to think about that. I was expanding in the middle of the situation. Make sure you succeed at whatever you're doing. This is not the time to delay your progress. If you were looking for a promotion, it's not the time to tell yourself, I'm not going to go and try to go for that new job. Is it tough? Yes, because you're scared of at every angle that someone's putting a roadblock in your way. But the truth is, you got to do it. It would have been risky whether or not you were being gang stalked. You may or may not have gotten the position because they didn't like the color of the shirt that you were wearing that day. They didn't like your race. They didn't like the color of your hair. You know, the interviewer might not have liked the fact that you have curly hair because her husband's cheating on her with somebody who has curly hair. It doesn't matter. But what does matter is you must continue to try to improve your life and continue on the course that you're supposed to be on. Because these people come to either stunt your growth or to take you back. And you need to make sure that you're doing everything the way you would have normally done it, so that you are either stopping new money or a new budget from coming in for gang stalking you, or pissing off the person who is having you gang stalked. because it's simply not working. That is where you want to get to. You want to get to the point. Somebody's paying for it. It's a benefactor. There is somebody somewhere. It could be your old job. It could be an ex who has money. It could be, in my case, it was the cartel for recruitment purposes and to keep me away from my ex. It could be anyone, but the person has money. And nobody spends money. Nobody got rich by spending money on what doesn't work. And I talk about this. You need to make sure that it's not working. If you cannot make sure that it's not working, then it needs to have the appearance of not working. So that means when you're done crying at home and you're terrified, when you get on that street, you have on a brave face and you're happy and you're going to work and you're a thriving member of society. You must do this. You must keep. This is why I talk about taking care of yourself. Don't start not doing your hair. If you were always a person who did your hair and your makeup and your nails and you groomed and you cut your hair and you shaved and you worked out, you need to continue doing that. When I started being gang stalked, I was overweight because I was in a relationship. I got way too happy and it was during COVID and I was, I started a cooking page. So who had to eat the food that was being cooked? Of course, it was me, right? I was overweight, like maybe 40 pounds overweight. I'm not talking about like a little bit. I went through a glow up during gang stalking because I started working out. I mean, I went from fat to amazing, looking amazing. I'm telling you, you have to continue taking care of yourself. Was that not pissing off the people paying for it? They're like, what is going on? She's looking better every day. I went to be dressing very purposely for work, taking my time to select outfits, to look very glamorous, to look very good. And then I felt better about myself. My body looked good. I was dressing better. It wasn't what I started with. It was like I was getting better. My sales were getting better. I was more focused. I was building relationships with people. They had to take it to the extent that they took it. They went further and further and further with me because I was embarrassing them until they got to the point that every single win that I had in my business, they had to try to take responsibility. Hold on. How would you advise to handle family? I'm going to come to the family question in a bit. It's a touchy one, but I'm going to come to it. I'll advise you on that. I'll tell you how I dealt with it. You got to succeed, and you got to succeed in their face, but it's important to succeed in their face. It's not out of ego. It's out of making sure that the people who are paying you cannot be paid. You want to cut off their funding. Do you want to know the key to gang stalking stopping? It's not the police arresting people. It's not you getting back everything you lost. It's none of the above. It's the money stopping. The money made it possible. The money will make it stop. You got to think to yourself from this frame of mind. The person paying for this hates me. They hate my guts so much that they want to throw money at destroying me. How do I make this person look at their financial investment like as a waste? Talking, exposing people so people get scared to join. People, if they go to my Instagram and my platform on my business page, they're going to see a picture of the guy who's behind it, and they're going to see the story of what I'm going through. They want nothing to do with it. Any logical person's like, wait a minute. The things that I'm hearing this person talk about, I might not want to be involved in this. So you're not going to get you're going to still get some scummy people that don't have a reputation, don't care, and the $50, $100, they'll take it. But anybody with something to lose is not going to destroy their reputation. And let me tell you something. I see people who used to actively gang stalk me, laugh in my face, and be disgusting to me now, and they're like this. They refuse to look at me. And one time, somebody who used to gang stalk me saw him at the dentist, and he told them when I walked out, he told the receptionist, lock the door behind her. It's a business. Of course she's not going to lock the door. I was walking away and I said, nah, F this. I'm going to expose him. I ran back in there and I told them the full story. And they looked so shaken by it. And they ran on the computer and looked at his name. And I know it doesn't matter what they say. They're going to keep an eye on him because this is disgusting to hear. It's scary. And she said to me, she was like, I knew something was off because he refused to look at you and he was like this. And do you know when you left, he told me to lock the door. They never thought that I would survive long enough that they wouldn't have to face the consequences of their actions. Stay strong. You're not staying in gang stalking just to be strong. You're following everything that I'm telling you in order for you to break yourself free. Once you break yourself free, they can't actively follow you. What the heck are they going to be paying gang stalkers for? You think they're going to keep funding them and 7 days in a row they've gotten no action? You're coming on the internet, you keep talking, you keep looking alive, you keep looking good. They're going to stop paying for this. They're going to stop paying for it faster than you think. It's not going to take 6 months to stop paying for it when they have no action. They can't get close to you. They can't get in their networks, and you keep succeeding in everything that you're doing. You keep changing and transforming. They can't get in your emails. They can't get in your devices. They're stuck. This is where you want to get your situation. You being happy, obviously. You being physically beautiful. It shows. It's not about if you're really pretty or not. It's about the fact. You can take a picture, the before you got gang stalk picture, while and after you got gang stalk picture, you're going to look homeless. You're going to look terrible. You're going to look broke, poverty stricken. This is what you want to avoid. My before gang stalking picture is even worse than my after gang. I look even better. I'm not as fat. Before, I didn't have time to take care of myself. I was working a mall location. We had 2 mall locations, 2 stores and 2 malls. 12-hour days, short staffed during the pandemic. Of course, I didn't look good. You know, I was tired out, but now I look fresh. I have time. I take care of myself. I can shop for myself, etc., etc. So you want to make sure you look your best. Men, shave your beard. Take your time. You're getting a bit of whites. I would go as far as dyeing it. Maybe you don't even want to, maybe you don't care. Maybe you're, a mature salt and pepper, you like that look. But I mean, if somebody's going to the point of dyeing their hair, I'm thinking they got time and they're relaxed. It's not a good sign. Wear your nice jacket and your nice shoes outside some days. Take that little bit extra effort on yourself to make sure that people's money is looking like it's being wasted. It's a huge thing. It's a huge deterrent. And the last one I'm going to leave out because you really got to be focusing on yourself right now. Maybe in other videos I'm going to go into it. I don't want to confuse people with what I'm saying. This one would be very specific. As far as how to deal with family, let me tell you how I dealt with family. I'm going to tell you the truth. Family will not believe you. No one wants to believe you. My kids were seeing, they were in the house with me. They were seeing weird things. But somehow they couldn't connect the weird things that they're seeing with this idea that I'm being followed all over the place, because I notice the cars around us, but they don't notice it. I notice the people around us being weird, but they don't notice it. They don't notice it in the same way because I noticed early on, they're so careful not to gang stalk anyone around you. It's like a big rule. They don't gang stalk the people around you. They only gang stalk you. So I used to notice if I was around people, I'd be safe because they couldn't be overt with the way they did things. But what happened was, as it was going on and I was losing weight and still being successful and still being happy and people still loved me and still having relationships, they had to start doing it to people around me. And this is where they've screwed up. They've made so many witnesses all over the place. Now, to my situation, it's specific because they owe the cartel, and you know how those people move. Like, this is the wrong people to owe. They're violent, right? So this guy is very desperate because he can't pay these people back. He's wasted a lot of resources and a lot of time. And the job hasn't been done, and now the job will never get done because I'm on to them. So in this situation, what happened was, if you're my family and I'm telling you that something's going on with me and I'm scared, I expect your support. If you do not support me 100% and you do not believe me and you're questioning me, you don't have a place in my life right now. I believe that God is removing you from my life. I have family for the purpose of being supportive. That is what family is for. Family is not for just the good times. Family is not just for good things happening. You're supposed to support me. And this is the worst nightmare I could ever go through. And now you choose to question me. I had one family member, I had like a cousin, and he said to me, I'm never going to question you. If you say that you're being followed, I believe that you're being followed. I'm not going to question you on that. I just want to help you. And because of that, he lasted much longer. But then I started noticing that he wasn't volunteer. It wasn't like he was voluntarily trying to be in touch with me to destroy my life, but he was being bullied, or he was being pushed, he was being pressured. And so I felt like I was doing him a favor by staying away from him. And it hurt. And there are a few people that I lost that hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. But I had to, for the sake of me moving on and moving out. If I held them, it's like a door being opened so the zombies could get in. A lot of family will turn on you. They will turn away from you. They will just want to be away from it. God is cleaning house for the next chapter of your life. You don't want these kind of people around. Get rid of them. Good riddance and good luck. You're going to have to cry over a couple of people. It's okay. Pretend that people have passed away. If they passed away, there's nothing that you could have done. It is the same thing. You just gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. My dad, I would say, was my best friend in the entire universe. I could talk to about everything, anything. He wouldn't judge me. I wouldn't judge him. And I had to let that relationship go right off the bat. He was the first one that they flew out of town to go connect with him. They were putting money in his business. They were giving him support, financial support. He got addicted to that. I had to release it. And I knew he was guilty one time when I spoke to, I knew he was guilty from before I felt it. But, you know, one time I spoke to him and there was a lot of guilt on his face. And he looked like he really regretted something, and he could barely look me in the eye. And I just knew for a fact that he knew what he did was wrong and he was dealing with it. And I just said to myself, well, it is what it is. Everybody makes their own bed and everybody has to lie in it. And I had to part ways with him. And when you part ways with these people, I want to be very clear. When you part ways with these people, I want you to know that the death is permanent and they cannot come back. You keep opening the doors back to people. This is a freaking betrayal. If God has fame and fortune for you after this, you are not going to get it with traitors that close to you. Because God is not going to give you, if it's meant for you and it's not meant for other people, you're not going to get access to it until you cut them off. And this is God's way. Gang stalking is one of the ways God's going to clear house for you. God's going to clear you of people, places, or things that have always had access to you that are no good for you, that are blocking you from your new beginning. They got to go. They got to go. They got to go. There's nothing that you can do about it. So when it comes to family, you have to say goodbye to people. If it comes to your children who are underage and they're in your home, you got to wait it out when the cycle is finally closed and the fog gets over their, clears from their mind as well. Now my children show me things that are weird. They're like, Mom, how does he know that we're here? How did this happen? Look at this. We just got a call off of somebody else's phone and that person's call log doesn't show that they called us, etc., etc., etc. Now they're seeing it. But it took a while. So I want to just stress this. I want to stress this to you. Being gang stalked is a solo mission. You're on your own. Consider yourself like an assassin. You don't know who's paid for this, but it's probably some street person, some scummy person. No, I'm not going to say no decent human being, but I want to say no decent human being signs up to do this type of work to innocent people. It's a scummy person. If it costed 200,000 to gang stalk you, and they had to continue using more and more of the budget that was supposed to be for gang stalking you to pay off more people and cover off more loose ends and do all of this stuff, that means there's less money for them to profit off of. And by the time they get to the point where all funding is pulled, they did all of that for nothing. They didn't get paid. They didn't get an upgrade in their lifestyle. They're not getting any more customers. If this was what their business was supposed to be, was gang stalking people, now they're a failure. You're the walking evidence. You walk around and you're proof that this person failed. They can't open a new cycle on you because your eyes are open. You cannot be gang stalked in the same way when you have the formula that I just gave you. Closing the door and how to make sure that people are not confident to keep funding people who can't get the job done. I'm going to post this onto my page, so if you need to go back over to the video to listen to it again, to take some notes, please do that. I'm going to consider whether or not I'm going to put all these points into a sort of just screenshotable document that you guys can screenshot and just keep it on you and work on each thing one at a time until you close that cycle. Work on it. This is all you gotta do is continue working on closing the doors. Remember, God cannot launch bombs into your own life. You got the uncle, the father, the mother, the whatever close to you. How can God annihilate the problem when the problem's standing next to you? You will go with that nuke. Clear house. Isolate yourself. Don't worry about being lonely. You come on YouTube, you come on Twitter, on TikTok, you watch memes, you occupy yourself, you build a plan for your life. You got work to do. You're not going to be bored. You're going to think there's not enough time in the day. So take your time. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I want you guys to know, now this is going to take some time to everything takes time to master. Everything I'm giving you, it's not built in a day. It may take 6 months, a year, it may take 3 months. It's up to you how hard you go. I want to talk about people pleasing. This is why you got here, because you're a people pleaser. You're a soft person. And I'm the people pleasing president, or I used to be. I used to not want to speak up about anything because I didn't want to ruffle feathers. And I'm sure everybody here that's being gang stalked is the same. You got to heal that people pleasing wound. No will be your best friend. Say no frequently. Say no like how little kids, when they learn how to say no, they abuse the word because they love the authority that it comes with. No, no, go brush your teeth. No, go do this. No, that's you. Abuse the word no. Say no for no reason. Hi, we just wanted to offer you. No, not gonna need it. One time this guy was going so crazy because he would try to send people to work with me all the time just so that he could take credit for every good thing that was happening in my business. And I kept responding, no, I'm not interested. One time he got mad and he kept sending the same email back to back over and over and over and over. I probably got the email 5-6 times because he didn't want to accept the no because it just looked like it wasn't working. And then he didn't like me investigating the people he was sending. So when he sent an influencer or someone to work with me and I went through their page and I looked and something was off, I just said no. And so what he would do is he would block the person from my page. He would block me from seeing their profile. So then I would have to go back on email and say, hey, I can't see your profile. And they would say, oh, check again. And then I could see it. I see that it makes no sense. Blocked. Get rid of it. Don't care. No, no, no. What does no mean? It means a celebrity turning down a $10 million, $15 million, $20 million deal. You don't think they want the money? It's not worth the terror that it comes with. If I came to you right now and I said, I'll give you $20,000, but you're going to get gang stalked. You being in the position that you're in right now, would you take it? Now ask yourself, how much money would it be worth it for you to take to be gang stalked? I bet you tell me zero. I'm telling you, I'm outside of being gang stalked. $1 million is not worth it. There's no money that is worth this kind of all-consuming problem being on your back. No money is worth this kind of influence that people have over your life, you will never enjoy the money. And after they pay you, they're going to systematically work to take it out of your pocket anyway, because you know what kind of nightmare you're dealing with. So this is what I mean. If celebrities are turning down tens of millions to not be in bed with these people, it means you need to learn to say no. Trust your instincts. Your instincts is the voice of God. You need to strengthen it. And what do I mean by that? If not, let me tell you a story. There's a Jewish saying that if there are 9 people, if there is an idea and they bring 10 people together to decide if this is a good idea to move forward, the first 9 people approve it, it is the responsibility of the 10th person to disagree, just so that they may investigate if it truly is a good thing to do or not. This is how my intuition works. If 99% of me says it's okay, but there's a very small voice that says, I don't trust it, I listen. You have to pass the 100% mark with me in order to do anything with me. Even for me to reply hello, I gotta feel nothing. My instincts will not allow for anything. I had to learn. When people feel good, they feel all the way good. There's no red flag. But once they don't feel good, it's not all 100% of you doesn't feel. It's just that 1%, that quiet 1% that says, I don't know, something's off. Something is off. You saw something, they flinched a certain way, they had a certain inflection. You don't know what it is. You can't even explain why. This is the voice of God. Listen to it, or else you're going to be sorry later on. And gang stalkers switch on you very fast. They're Decepticons, and we know this. The first face is very pleasant, it's very nice, and then they turn it, and all of a sudden, they're demonic on you right away. So you got to be careful with these people. Do not let them in. Once you close every door of access, you will realize that their desperation will skyrocket. Their desperate actions and attempts will skyrocket. Why is it skyrocketing? Because they have no port of entry anymore. They can't do their job. They can barely sit on the screen to look at you all day. By the way, duct tape your computer screens, because you don't want your naked pictures of you coming out the shower hitting the dark web or being used to blackmail you. Cover it with a very thick tape, not something translucent. I mean, I have cardboard or duct tape or black duct tape over top of my cameras. Make sure you cover it. Make sure you do these things to your children's as well, because you don't want child porn of your children or anybody you care about to be out there. These people have no law that they would go to make this money. They don't care, and you know that. You know that now. If you they let you know very early on. So there's that. Please heal your childhood wounds, because these people have gone in your network and they are talking to people in your network about what happened to you when you were younger. Did you get abandoned by somebody and it really hurt you? Did you get raped? Did you get into a bad car accident that you had a hard time getting over? They want to recreate these traumatic events, so you got to heal from them. I'll give you an example. Me being isolated from people. When I was younger, I used to feel isolated from people, but I healed that before I got gang stalked. I liked being alone. I still do, to be honest with you. I need my time. And so they tried to recreate this thing happening to me again, where it's like they try to isolate people from my network. But it was a relief. It was like, oh my God, finally. I don't like going clubbing. People want to go clubbing. I don't want to be, me being on camera now is a new thing, because I feel a responsibility to come back and share this information, but it wasn't always like this. I don't want to be on anybody's Snapchat in the club and all that. Like, I just felt like, oh my God, like this is tiring for me. So it was like, it didn't matter to me. But if I didn't heal that wound, it would have created a really huge emotional turmoil for me, because they would know that I don't like being alone, and they would have used that against me. They get close to you to know what your weaknesses are. So they want to exploit it. Write your weaknesses down and heal them. Work on them and heal them. There was someone in my life that was close to me and it didn't work out and it bothered me. And while I was going through gang stalking, that trigger came up. It came up out of nowhere. I don't know why it came up. And God just said to me in that moment, it just wasn't meant to be. And I thought about it and I was like, my God, you're right. It wasn't meant to be. And that was it. It healed just like that. It just never, healing just means it doesn't bother you anymore. That's it. So even if a trigger came up, all I would think was, oh, it wasn't meant to be. And then I just released it and let it go. I wasn't at home crying about it or shaking in bed and thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. Something must be wrong with me. It was just, it wasn't meant to be. Simple as that. So heal these triggers. It is very important because these people are going to be digging and digging and digging. I'm going to actually make something where I'm going to put these points down in point form and I'm going to paste it where you guys can find it. The bonus that I'm going to put here, this is a huge one. If you have any criminal activity in your past, these people are going to look to find it because that's their last resort. When nothing else is working against you, they're going to try to get you put in jail. And I'm telling you that from now. These people have been looking for dirt on me for the longest time. If you are involved in any criminal activity, if you have anything that is shady, if you have anything that you're doing that's not above board, cut it out right now. Clean it up. Get rid of it. Do not engage in funny activity. Don't cheat on your taxes. Don't lie. Don't do a single thing. I don't care what you think it is. These people have money and they're not going to go down just because of you. They're going to, at the least, invalidate what you're saying by making you look like a corrupt person yourself. I don't care what it is. You just heard me. It stops now. Because they're going to fish. They're going to find. They're going to dig back as far as they can. There was a point where everybody was asking me what high school I went to. Everywhere I went, somebody at the grocery store, oh, you look really familiar. What high school did? That's how far they want to go back to dig on your character. Be extremely careful. So this is the bonus one. I can't overstate this. Be very careful. You know that police are involved. You know that crooked judges, crooked judges, crooked everything is involved. So be careful. Don't live any type of life that is not, you know, of God, that is not clean. They will find it. They will exploit it. I'm going to get to my spirit cards that I usually always read. These cards have helped me immensely on my journey. Every single time that I was having a bad day, I pulled this deck and felt better. I promise you. Okay, I'll read this one. So just in case for anybody that wants to get this deck, I got this on AliExpress. It's called Spirit Messages Oracle cards. They weren't expensive, but I like them. I like them. It's not every day is an easy day. You're going through the hardest lesson you're ever going to have to go through in your life, but God is sending help. That's why people like me are making videos, not just complaining, but giving real life solutions of things that can be done, actionable things that can be done to relieve your pressure and to help you climb your way out. So this card says, don't place limitations upon yourself. You're an infinite being with unlimited potential. You can have and be anything you want. Don't hold yourself back or allow anyone else to, aka gang stalkers. This is your life. Don't give it away. Live your truth and remain heart-centered at all times. Don't think because you're being gang stalked, there's no life after gang stalking. It's closer than you think. I was just being gang stalked last year. It trickled down to a close because they did not want that money to end. So don't think they're going to just wake up one day and say, oh, okay, forget it. I'm not going to do it. Absolutely not. Those people are going to hang on for tooth and nail. So when I first started seeing the reduction, I'm going to give you a timeline. I started being gang stalked actively in about July of 2022. The gang stalking worsened in about January of 2023. The gang stalking trickled down in about the summer of 2023. So the summer of last year, it was going on too long and people just didn't want to participate anymore. Like it looked like it was boring people, and people were kind of like, this is kind of cruel. People were coming around and it was like they didn't want to bother me, but it was like they wanted to take the money, or maybe they were pushed into it. I didn't know, but it was like they were polite gang stalkers. Good morning, hi. And they just do whatever they were told to do, but they wanted to make it obvious to me they didn't want to be there. People would come and just stand outside our store, and in the beginning they would just stand out on the railing and just stare at us without blinking, intimidating us, men. Then it got to the point they used to send women, and women would be on the phone and be like, I don't want to be here right now. Why am I here right now? I said I don't want to be here right now. And they would never let me see their face, and they would be kind of to the corner. But they would speak loud enough for me to hear them say, I don't want to be here right now. Because I was making police reports. I was being loud. I was doing things. I never stopped retaliating. I was not scared. I was pushing back. And I was pushing back in a very calm, relaxed way. It's scary when people are calm. It's scarier when you're calm than when you're belligerent and all over the place. They will laugh if you're losing your mind and you're freaking out. But when you're calm and you're like, okay, no problem, they're like, holy shit. They're driving away and they're like, holy crap, is this girl gonna call the police? Did she take a picture of me? Am I on her security camera? Like, what the hell is going on? I had pictures and videos of people on my security camera, and I was putting in the email responses that they were sending, or the Google reviews and all that. Nobody enjoys that. You were only paid $100. What the hell is all this? So you got to catch a few of them by the neck. So you got to do all of those things, but this is your life. You have free will. Do not let go of it for nothing or no one. Do not let go of your life. This is your freedom. 2-3 years, you're gang stalked. You come out of this. You go on to live the best life of your life. Become a best-selling author, a public speaker, you know, win a Nobel Peace Prize, God knows what, become an actor, and this is your story. This is a gift. Every time you do an interview, I was gang stalked for 2 to 3 years. Oh my God, tell us about that. Do you know how much a reporter wants to eat that up? This is your gift. Manage it well. Do not give up on yourself. Do not lose yourself. Do not lose hope. Everybody that came out of something to be great has a story. I was bound up in a car and they drove me through 50 states and I survived. Oh my God, that's your claim to fame. It is your story. It is your gift. Hold on to it. Protect it. F those people. Stay strong. Keep going. Keep finding resources. Manage the information coming into your mind. I never listen to fear-mongering information from other victims. Oh my God. No, I want to listen to somebody who's speaking in strength. Somebody who's saying you cannot stop me. Somebody who's waking up every day and they're praying. I want to listen to preachers that are praying with strength. You come on and you listen to motivation that's going to pump you up for the day. And then you go out there and you give it all you have. You give it all your strength. And then you come home and you recharge again. You meditate, you listen to good material, you motivate yourself, you make sure you follow all the steps that you've been given, and people who've gone ahead of you and who've done it well. You want to really listen to people who said, I've closed the chapter. People who are in it with you can only validate your experience. You don't need a lot of validation of your experience. You need somebody who's done it before, who's gone up ahead of you and they said, I did it and this is how I did it. I could hoard all this information for myself and write a book and sell it. And I'm on YouTube giving it for free. So please do not take that. You know why? You know why I don't want to write a book and sell it? And not to say that I don't want to, maybe I might one day, but you know why? This is so freaking tough that you need this. People need this now. People don't need to be buying books. They need this information now. I make myself a target to give this information out for free. And each one teach one. You share things that work for you, and this is how we build community. It is too aggressive for us to hoard information and keep stuff away from each other. And one last thing I'm gonna talk about, and I could talk about it now because it arrived. I talk about crystals, and I came up against this crystal. If you're actively being gang stalked right now, I don't recommend moving too early. They're just gonna follow you. It doesn't matter what state, it doesn't matter what country, gang stalkers are worldwide. Their network, if you're in the military, these people are gonna find you. They gang stalk people in the military, they gang stalk police, they gang stalk in the witness protection program, it doesn't matter. Learn all the lessons first, close all the doors, do everything that you can, and then you'll realize you might not even have to move. I moved for specific reasons, but if you have a landlord who's harassing you, or you have certain things, you got to deal with it, because you're just going to go to another harassing landlord. It's going to cost money, it's going to cost time, and it's going to frustrate you. They're going to waste your money. So I would recommend against moving. I knew someone who moved 3 times in 1 year. And this is in real life. She literally came to my store and told me about that. I was starting to get famous in my city for being a gang stalking victim who wasn't going down. And so people would show up to my store to try to ask me for advice and but they were scared. They didn't know how to approach it. And so they would say things to me like, I had a son who betrayed me. And I'd say, yeah, well, my dad betrayed me. And that was like our code word on like, I'm going through the same thing you are. Yeah, me too. And then I'd give them some advice. They'd say, oh, all of a sudden, you know, now I'm walking with a cane and this and that. And I'd say, oh, okay, go use this, go do that. And then more and more people kept showing up until the gang stalkers would show up behind the people, because they started noticing people were coming in for advice. And so that's how I built my witness list. My list of witnesses who could also say that they were also gang stalked. I got famous for holding out. Let me tell you something. If all you got to do is just keep on holding out, keep on holding out, you're going to stay alive. You're going to come through it. There's other people who've come through it. There are other people. Hashtag or search how I ended gang stalking. Google it. These kind of things, there are others like me out there. These are the people you want to listen to. So when it comes to moving, if you haven't learned the lesson, the move is going to be a waste of time. You need to learn how to be in control of your situation, how to block access to you before you want to move. So I'm a huge crystal believer, and I could talk about this crystal because I found it. And this is not a good picture, but you can Google it, and then you could see what it looks like so you can know what you're looking for. It's an agate stone. It's spelled A-G-A-T. Agate, I guess you say. And this is a cord cutter, an energetic cord cutting stone. Cord cutting with gang stalkers is difficult because they do it at a soul level. It's hard to get away from these people, I promise you. So please listen. So this cord cutting stone crystal, it's a tie releaser for the third eye. It quickly cuts mental cords to a guru, a partner, or a parent who capitalizes on a previous connection to retain manipulative control in the present, replenishing the energy lost in such situations. If you know nothing else, you know that these people are draining your energy. Just by being in your life, they are energy depleters. They drain your energy. So this stone right here, which I had to get, this crystal, where someone is being prayed for, whether by a priest or cult leader, to bring that person back to the fold, under control once again, banded agate removes the coercing energy to its source and frees the person to live life as they wish. Banded agate is a useful environmental healer. When gridded around a house, it prevents out-of-body visitations from another soul. I'm going to tell you right now, these people were definitely astral projecting into my energy for sure. I randomly smell scents in my environment. It's not just me, so no one can say I'm crazy. My kids' friends, other people around me would be like, wait, do you not smell this bleach? Now the guy gang stalking me, he smells like sewage, and I've talked about this before. It was so bad that the management at my store called me and they said, we need you to get to your store because the neighbors are complaining there's a sewage smell around the store. It was him lurking around my store. There was a sewage smell around my store. So that means other people, that was the day I knew that other people could smell it as well. Other people can smell it, not just me. So what that meant for me was I needed to clean my space. I needed to sage. I needed to do all of these things. Now, for women, when we wear crystals, we put it in our bra because this one is not on like a chain or anything. I put it in my bra so it's close to my skin. It must be touching your skin. So this one here, it's outside of my clothing, but normally it'd be inside like this, touching my skin. And it creates a shield, and it's your first point of defense. For men, I don't know where you'll put it, but you'll put it somewhere. I would even duct tape it, you see, let's say to my torso, under my clothes, whatever. Believe me, it makes a difference when they're throwing a lot of energy work at you. If they're throwing enough energy work that you're now getting sick, you need it 1,000%. You need it. This is what it's spelt like, banded agate. I'm gonna actually, again, I'm gonna make this document because someone suggested it. And I'm gonna make it screenshotable and I'm gonna post it. Check my communities tab where I constantly post. That's where I'm gonna put the screenshot right there. So you can just take a screenshot of it and you can just go ahead and save it in your phone and maybe write it out yourself, tape it to your wall, work on these things one by one. What's going to happen, and this is an energetic thing, and this is very important to know. What's going to happen to you after you close the cycle, which means that you've closed all points of entry into your life and you're starting to live your life fairly freely. Here's what I mean by fairly freely. Not taking your phone with you, they're going to get wise to that and they're going to realize like we need more people on the ground, or we need this, or we need that. When you do that, it's not going to be 100% foolproof in the beginning. It's just going to be such a burden, and it's going to eat resources. You want to eat away their money. You want to eat the profit. So it's going to be so burdensome. But what is going to happen is, let's say you leave the house 3 times for the week. Out of those 3 times, they really only get you 1 time. The second time, they kind of get you. They got you mostly, but then it kind of didn't work. And then the third time, they didn't get you at all. And now, as time goes on, if you leave 3 times a week, it goes only, sometimes the whole 3 times they never got you. You're in disbelief. Every time I walk outside and I'm in a park or I'm on the street and there's no one around me, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, God, look at what you did for me. It worked every time. This is a foolproof way of knowing. There's going to be people on the street that you know when people on the street are gang stalkers or not. Because most people, when you're walking on the street, people won't even look your way. People don't care about you. A normal person walking on the street, their face is in their phone, they're walking their dog, they haven't even looked at you from the time you notice them to the time you walk past. Most people don't care. Do you really focus on people on the street? No, you're minding your business for the most part. You don't care. That's how you know. And you're going to know. And eventually you're going to get to the point where it's like you're walking free. You are walking free. It's going to take a while to get used to. It took me a while to get used to after going through that for so long and having that expectation. I went from kind of expecting somebody and then it didn't happen. And over time I was like, whoa. To the point that it's like, I'm starting to slowly use my debit cards again. Sometimes I do. Oh, and another thing, turn off your phones overnight. If you have 2-factor verification on your accounts, I'm going to write this. I'm giving you guys way too much for one video, but I'll make more videos. If you have 2-factor verification on your phone, okay, that means that they need to send a code to your phone in order to hack some of the accounts, even if they have the password. Especially for Google accounts. So what you need to do is turn off the phone at night, because they can't just be straight up sending text message to your phone while you're awake looking at the phone. If they do that, it's gonna be pretty damn obvious, right? That you didn't send it. You can fly into action. So what you're gonna do is you turn off your phone. When you're asleep, your phones are off. And remember, you have the PUK code. As soon as you get off this call your company. Hey, I need a PUK code for my SIM card. They're gonna give it to you right away. Here's a temporary code, 123456. Then you go and you change it to a long number on your phone. Boom, that's it. You turn off your phone. So even if they try to turn back on your phone to get the two-factor verification to log in, they can't do it because the phone won't turn on. The PUK code locks the phone before the phone has time to access the internet to turn on completely. So once it locks, before you get to the internet being able to connect and the phone being able to turn on, no one can turn it on but you. Even if they have a remote way, they can't access the keypad to turn it on. Use all of these points and all of this information now to decide, okay, am I gonna get a new phone? And if I get a new phone and all they have to do to hack the new phone is send a text message, then maybe I don't need a SIM card on that phone. And then maybe I can get new email addresses, but only for this phone. And then now this email address is with this email client that is going to have multiple security features so it can't get logged into. Now I can use this for this and that. Now, if you're gonna use this safe email, do not use it for any social media accounts because these are the easiest to hack. They have people at Instagram. They're doing things on my Instagram that they can only do with having access to people at Instagram. Right now, there's people in my live, but people couldn't stay in my live on Instagram because they would take them out. So this is the kind of thing that you want to avoid. Don't use your safe email on unsafe sites. Don't use it for your little solitaire account that you play with online. Use the other emails that they already have for that crap. You want to use the safe email for sending police reports to the police, sending your police reports to news reporters, being whistleblowing organizations, people that can help you. This is a safe email, very protected email. This is what it's for. It's not even for business or for work or for sending resumes. So be careful with that stuff. And absolutely email reporters privately, email the police, email these people. Keep a paper trail so people know what's going on. They can look into you. So at least if something happens, people know where to start, if that's the least you can do. So thank you guys for logging into my live. This is my first YouTube live. I'm so happy it was successful. It actually worked. No, they didn't want to threaten my life in any way. It didn't seem, not overtly. They wanted me to threaten my own life. They wanted me to be suicidal. They wanted to put me in car accidents. They wanted to manufacture car accidents, but they wanted everything to look like it was an accident. They didn't want anything to look like no death threats or anything. Gang stalking is meant to be like a threat that you cannot prove. Gang stalking is not meant to be something that it's, if there's a threat on your life, the police have to respond. So they're not going to do stuff like that. As far as if you're afraid, these people are more afraid of you than you are of them. Trust me. Let me tell you what I mean by that, okay? Canada Post didn't deliver my mail for 3 months. And I reported it so much that when they started investigating it, the guy at the depot who was guilty, and I know it was him, he couldn't, his voice was shaking. He sounded like he was gonna cry. It's a federal offense. Donald Trump just went to jail for lying on his taxes and passing off prostitution as a taxable offense. When they want you bad. They're gonna witch hunt you. That's why I say if you're doing anything, stop. So let me tell you something. They are not going to outwardly threaten you. They have to find something on you. They have to find something on you. Lucky for me, I've had horrible luck with taxes. I file, I tell the truth. Now I'm the one paying them back. I don't even get a return. I've always worked with honest people. I don't lie. So it's helped a lot. These people are so desperate. Oh, I would have been in jail a long time ago. I'm telling you, it was a witch hunt for me. So trust me, they're not going to make it obvious or else it's a crime. They have to do it in such a way. Everything they do, they want you to self-sabotage. They want you to look crazy. So I don't think there's going to be any threats to your life or anything overt like that. And that's why I can say you're safe. You're safe. And last but not least, pray and meditate. A meditation is recharging your energy. It is giving God strength to work on your behalf. It's calming your nervous system. It's taking away the anger, the anxiety, all of these things. Pray and meditate. Pray and meditate. Pray and meditate. Do your best. Thank you guys for logging in. It's going too long. I try to end my videos at an hour. I think it's like going close to 2 hours, but this is so worth it, honestly. Please like my videos, please share them so other people need them. This is not about popularity. If you're going through this and other people are going through it too, then you know that people need to know the truth. Honestly, it really helps. And like I said, I'm noticing that there's different states now that are kind of like trolls from different states are like kind of paying attention to me. They're deleting people's accounts that come on my, because I'm seeing the growth in people and I'm sure they're noticing the changes. So it really does help, and they hate that I'm putting this information out. So if you're, I think everybody here is subscribed, but please like, please share. And any more questions, put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer, and then you guys have a reference. You can come back and see them. And just because of you, Chameleon, I'm going to write this up and type it up really nicely and put a screenshot in my community center on my channel so that you can have it, and that, you know, you can go through it just in case you lose some of the stuff I'm talking about. So thank you guys, and have you guys a great day. Bye-bye.